Say hello.
Hi.
Yeah, will you wait just 4 minutes if you're going to play that?
Yeah.
We're going to be really quick.
No,
We're just doing her a favor. She needs this for school.
Okay, so I'm Carol, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit today. Okay, so I was born August 5th, 1972. That makes me a Leo, for those of you who keep track of that sort of thing. I never believed in astrology or anything, but I was intrigued to learn while researching for this speech that the Moody Blues released their hit single, Nights in White Satin, on this exact date. Why? Because it was absolutely the only song that my mom and dad both liked when I was growing up. He listened to country music and she listened to rock. Although this little factoid means something to me, it obviously doesn't to anyone else, so I've decided to talk about 3 other events that happened on 3 other August 5ths that have a somewhat wider significance. Specifically, their acts of racism. Sounds depressing, I know, but for me this topic is inspirational because they serve as reminders of how far we've come and how much further we can go to end racism as individuals and globally. The first event is the arrest of Nelson Mandela in South Africa in 1961. Mandela started out as a lawyer and a member of the African National Congress, using nonviolent means to fight for black representation in the white government, along with an end to apartheid. But time went on and the nonviolent protests didn't work, and then the situation grew worse with the Sharpeville massacre, when police opened fire on black demonstrators, killing 69 of them. It was at this point Mandela's group decided to start bombing the country's water, gas, and electricity utilities, but I think it's important to remember that they still didn't harm anyone directly. Then, after a year and a half on the run, he was arrested on August 5th, 1961, and sentenced to 5 years in prison, just for leading workers to strike and for leaving the country without permission. 2 years into the sentence, however, his role in the acts of sabotage was revealed, and after admitting his part in the crimes and giving a powerful speech at his trial, he ended up being jailed for the next 3 decades. 8,700 miles away, and exactly 4 years later, Martin Luther King was leading a march through a white neighborhood in Chicago, Illinois, to protest for housing equality. As in Sharpeville, unfortunately, the peaceful demonstration turned violent pretty quickly when the whites started hurling bricks, sticks, and knives at the marchers, and stones. A large stone struck King in the face, but as the Chicago Tribune reported, the marches led to an accord that year between the protesters and the Chicago Real Estate Board. The board agreed to end its opposition to open housing laws in exchange for an end to the demonstrations. Before he left town, King said it was a first step in a 1,000-mile journey. And then now, with the eventual civil rights victories Mandela and King won, you may think that kind of racial prejudice is a thing of the past. Unfortunately, this is not the case. Many racist crimes still occur with shocking frequency. In fact, according to the FBI's database, there were more than 3,000 racially motivated crimes in 2010. That's the latest year that statistics were available. This leads me to August 5th, 2005. On this date, African-American Arkansas resident Anthony Briggins awoke to a burning cross on his front lawn. The 3 white perpetrators who pled guilty to the crime were each sentenced to only about 1 month's jail time by the presiding white judge, who, for his part, neglected to follow hate crime sentencing requirements. This error was corrected by federal officials later, but not before Briggins and his family moved to another state. As I said, it's inspiring that we've come so far. Apartheid was abolished in South Africa and Nelson Mandela became president. Chicago became a place where our first black president got his start in politics. These courageous leaders and others have ensured that hate crimes are now tracked and vigorously prosecuted. Before we celebrate too much, though, let's keep moving in the right direction. As King said, it's a 1,000-mile journey, and I hope we continue on that journey to make sure that August 5th remains a celebration of my birthday and not just another regretful day filled with hate. Any questions? Great. Thank you.